You need an anxiety reaction in certain situations. So if I'm driving on the motorway and somebody nearly hits me, I need to be able to swerve, act quickly. That's my adrenaline kicking in. Now, afterwards, I'm going to feel really shaky. That's a normal physiological response to the fact I've just had this massive chemical surge in my body. When I'm getting that because I've got on the bus, then there's something not quite right.
You know when you start to feel like your whole body becomes red and you start to think, oh my god, why did you do that?
Du sitter 80% av dagen og tenker på noe som egentlig er veldig teit.
For eksempel venner som vil ta med deg ut, og så føler du at du ikke kan gjøre det fordi du må på jobb dagen etterpå, ikke sant?
Ekstrem sånn press og stress hele tiden.
I was confused with life.
Og den der valgets kval, hvor skal jeg gå?
Jeg fikk dårlig samvittighet av alt.
Jag blev väldigt självkritisk och tryckte ner mig själv. Why did you even say anything?
What is wrong with me?
Du klarer ikke å slappe av uansett hva du gjør.
If I went up there, something bad was going to happen. Like something very, very bad was going to happen.
I was afraid of everything.
Jeg følte at jeg ikke fikk puste.
Pulsen steg.
Lydene blir litt sånn der...
Jeg kunne ikke sige noget, og jeg kunne ikke gøre noget.
Hele kroppen bare skalv.
Det blir tåkat, det blir lyst.
Man tappar ju liksom helt kontrollen över sin egen kropp.
Du føler at det er livsfare.
Trycket över bröstet blev bara värre och värre.
Det føles som at du blir rivd opp innvendig. Da.
Jeg lurer ikke på hva som skjer. Jeg vet at jeg dør.
Det føles ut som det er 100% realitet. Men så skjønner du langt bak i hodet at det egentlig ikke er det.
I guess the anxiety comes from us either interpreting something as threatening when objectively it isn't, so we then look at what's happening in our own heads to turn that into a threatening situation. Or, so I think the two things go together, there's a situation where we underestimate our ability to cope. So if you think about it, it's like a formula. Overestimating the threat, underestimating my resources will equal anxiety. And what I often say to my clients is like, okay, you're saying that the bus is scary. The bus did not make you anxious. Because if buses were inherently scary, we'd all feel anxiety when we got on the bus. So what is it you say to yourself about the bus that is telling you to be anxious? If you're thinking about depression, a lot of your primed thoughts will be on the theme of loss. Loss of face, it'll be about loss. With anger, a lot of the thoughts are about someone's broken my rules, shoulds and oughts. How dare you? You should respect me, so I get angry. It's that style of thinking. With anxiety, it's what we call what if thinking. What if this? What if that? What if the other? It's anticipating and predicting a future. So with social anxiety, what if they don't like me? What if I do the wrong thing? What if I embarrass myself?
It felt like I couldn't actually go on stage. I felt that everybody was judging me. I don't know what exactly it was, but I just felt like it was a very scary place. And that was new to me because it used to be a safe place for me. So it was strange, a very strange feeling.
You can get someone to have a panic attack within minutes by doing what if, what if, what if, what if, what if. So it's where the thematic of the what if is about I need people's approval of me. And if I don't get it, it's devastating. Or it matters what people think of me. There's two angles on the anxiety. One is actually managing the anxiety, because once that surge of adrenaline happens, it feels horrible. So what you then get is what you call a metacognition. People then get anxious about being anxious. So if you teach people how to accept that, but get it under control quickly, and be able to predict it, then they're less scared of the anxiety. And then you can actually look at what is the sense you're making of this situation that is priming you to be scared of it. Yeah. So we know about the fight, which is so a lot of aggression is actually anxiety. It's I'm scared, so it's the fight reaction. Yeah. The flight, get the hell out of here, or avoid. And the freeze reaction is where I can't quite compute whether I should fight or flee. So I freeze in the moment. I freeze. I don't know what to do. And it's all about what's going on in your head.
Jeg ser alle de her mennesker, og der er rigtig mange mennesker. Og så tror jeg bare, jeg bliver ramt af sådan en følelse af, at det er ligesom, hvis jeg var ind på et eller andet rumskib, og der var fuldt med aliens over det hele, og jeg var virkelig bare ikke fra den her planet. Og så frøs jeg bare. Altså, så kunne jeg ikke bevæge mig, og jeg kunne ikke sige noget, og jeg kunne ikke gøre noget.
Jeg sleit veldig mange år med sterk angst. Sleit med å sove. Jeg hadde jo da store smerter i kjeven, for jeg lå jo og gnissa tenner og hadde kjevelås om natta. Når de da panikkangsten kom på toppen av det igjen, da, så var det bare... Så sier det er jo toppen av isfjellet, men det var jo på en måte... Det var jo det verste. Og da føltes det som at jeg ikke fikk puste, og at jeg bare lette etter en vei ut. Men det var ikke mulig, rett og slett, da. Det var på en måte fanget i kroppen min.
With the generic anxiety, with generalized, where I'm a little bit anxious all the time, there still will be a pattern to that because it's physically impossible to carry that level of adrenaline 24/7. You know, you have a homeostasis in your body, so it will go down, and the re-triggering is because I'm thinking in a particular way, so I switch it back on again. Yeah. So I think the difference for me as a practitioner is looking for the qualitative style of the thinking. Yeah. And the kind of pattern of the surges of the symptoms. And then you'll get different things like your obsessive compulsive disorder, which is again a form of anxiety, but it's about needing to be in control.
For eksempel så fikk jeg plutselig en tanke om at hjertet mitt skulle stoppe. Og jeg gikk rundt hele dagen og kjente etter, kjente på pulsen, kjente etter hjertet, hadde helt panikk, ringte til legen. Altså det gikk så langt at jeg endte opp med å dra på legevakta 4 ganger den perioden, fordi jeg trodde at hjertet skulle stoppe. Jeg var så obsessed med at det var noe gærent.
I've always been very afraid of about putting myself out there, of trying new things, and very careful. All through my growing up, I was very careful with practically everything.
Jeg lukka meg litt, og trengte å liksom finne ut hvem jeg var i den situasjonen, ikke sant? Så jeg var liksom midt oppi det. Hadde skole, jobb, også privatliv. Ja, altså jeg skulle klare alt selv, men når jeg ikke klarer å på en måte dukke opp og ha det gøy med battlinga, så hva er vitsen da på en måte, når det hindrer deg å ikke gjøre det du har lyst til.
The oxygen for anxiety is avoidance. So if you are avoiding the things that make you scared, you will never prove to yourself that they won't kill you. If that makes sense, I exaggerate for effect. However, that does not mean that you throw yourself into the depths of the thing that's going to scare you most. First of all, you learn how to cope with the symptoms of anxiety when they're little. You then break down the scary tasks. So let's say if I've got somebody who doesn't go out the house. First of all, we have to find a big enough reason for them to want to go out of the house, because managing anxiety is hard work. So it's not enough to say, oh, well, I just want to go grocery shopping. Because do you know what? Do it online, because it feels horrible to challenge your anxiety. So it needs to be bigger than that. It needs to be a real recovery mission. What's the big difference you want to make to your life that will keep you going when this anxiety is really taking you over? You keep your fighting spirit going. But when you've got that, it might be the first step is, I want to be able to walk from my house to my corner shop. So you break it into steps. So the first step is, and you work out what works for each individual, but the first step might be standing on my doorstep. And every morning I stand on my doorstep at the same time and I monitor what's happening with my anxiety, and I guarantee that after day 4 it will be down to 0. The next step might be walking to my garden gate. Same thing, every day, monitor it. Day 4 goes down to 0. That exposure neutralizes the anxiety. If you take too big a step, you will induce massive anxiety, and you will then give yourself tons of ammunition that says, this is scary, I can't do it. And not only will you get anxiety, but its mate, depression, will come and beat you up too. So you have to find a way to confront, but safely.
Om du känner dig ensam och rädd för framtiden, och om du känner att du inte räcker till, så gör du det. Det är okej att du känner så. Var inte rädd för att tillåta och acceptera din sjukdom. För den identifierar inte vem du är. Du behöver däremot jobba tillsammans med dig själv och tillsammans med din sjukdom. För annars blir hela livet en stor kamp. Men om du jobbar tillsammans med din sjukdom, så underlättar det.
Først og fremmest synes jeg, at du skal tilgive dig selv for at begå alle de fejl, som du gør, fordi en del af det at vokse som menneske er, at vi skal fejle en hel masse. Det vigtigste, du kan gøre for dig selv, er ikke at lade de fejl ødelægge dig, men lade dem styrke dig som menneske.
When I realized that I wasn't just afraid of all these things, I was afraid of the feeling of fear itself. It was like a moment of clarity somehow. It gave me the sight of that it was only a feeling hovering around my head like a dark cloud, which is not there, and it's just something you made up in your head. You have to understand that this fear is only a manifestation of your mind, a dark cloud which you can blow away.
Det, der har hjulpet mig rigtig meget, er at tage mig af min krop og af mit sind og læse og forstå verden så kompleks som den nu er. Alle de her ting virker som små ligegyldige ting, og det har jeg også kaldt dem i en stor del af min tid. Men de er afgørende for, at du kan finde ro i dit hoved og i dit sind, og forstå, at hvis du har det svært, så har du højst sandsynligt brug for mere af de her gode livsstilsvalg end de fleste andre mennesker, og acceptere det. Og når du gør det, så kan det faktisk blive en styrke for dig.
Det rett og slett å lære seg på en måte å tenke at det ikke så farlig, og jeg vet det en veldig, veldig lett ting å si akkurat nå, men jo mer du tør å kjenne på disse tingene, jo mer du ufarliggjør det. Alt handler egentlig om ufarliggjøre situasjonen. Det ikke en krisesituasjon, men det føles ut som en krisesituasjon. Så snart du klarer å gjøre det til å ikke være så farlig, så vil også skammen avta.
I learned to trust people.
My biggest recommendation would to be that you don't bottle up all your emotions. Don't be afraid to actually take that leap of faith and talk to someone about how you're feeling and ask for help.
Menn har litt teitere og litt høyere terskel for å ta imot hjelp enn kvinner, føler jeg. Vi litt mer på den isolere oss og holde for oss selv. Da tenker jeg egentlig bare reach out til kompiser, venninner, lærere, eldre, far, mor.
Det ingenting du kan noe for, og det ingenting å skamme seg over. Det virkelig ingen grunn til å tenke noe negativt om deg selv på grunn av det. Altså om du har brukket en fot, eller om du har OCD, du kan som regel ikke noe for det. Sånt skjer. Så det viktigste lærdommen jeg har tatt av det rett og slett at vi mennesker for det første tøffe. Vi takler mye. Vi kommer oss gjennom masse, mye mer enn vi tror. Og at vi bare mennesker. Ting skjer, og verden urettferdig, men man kommer seg gjennom det.